Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Jason, I do not sound very loud, but that might just be... I learned from Daniel that there's a phenomenon that's called more me. People who love to hear themselves louder and louder and louder. More me. More me.
More me? That's it.
More me.
More me. More me.
That seems too much me.
More me.
Too much me. Yes.
More me. Oh, it's time.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. What time is it?
6.
Wonderful. Good. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Edith, no page number for this one.
I've been walking in my sleep, counting trouble, steady counting sheep, where the years went, I can't say. I just turned around and they've gone away. I've been sifting through the layers of dusty books, faded paper. They tell a story I used to know. Was one that happened so long ago. It's gone away. Yesterday, now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. Thought I heard the owl calling softly as I was falling with a question, and I replied, now he's gone across the borderline. He's gone away yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. Finest hour I have seen is the one comes between the edge of night and the break of day. That's when darkness rolls away. It's gone away yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. It's gone away yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. Where the rivers change direction across the great divide.
So there's that. And then also we have a new face, Lila, from Alaska with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are on page 120 for the first Shabbat after. It feels like we made it. We have a big, fat, fluffy challah sitting behind us. Very much not matzah-like. We're definitely in the middle already of Sfirat HaOmer, counting of the Omer between Passover and Shavuot. Those are the first steps of the journey. And there's something slightly relieving of having made it through the days, through the Seder or Seders, through the festival, and being on our way towards summer. So I just invite this sense of relief and joy and lightness to this space. Ilan, if you want to come with light candle? If you want to. If you want
Do you want to?
can. Please, we are on page 1.
Oh. Yeah, you got to put pressure on it with your finger. Okay.
Please join me in this Psalm 21. Begins with O source of light and truth. O source of light, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary meeting, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. So, we made it. It was a week, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, I'm not counting, of strange food. It's the first step on a march or a walk or a stroll in the neighborhood. It was a week of spring. Bless you. Bless you. I hope you're not all seeing something that I don't see. Which was warm and cozy and misled us to believe that it was over. And then it came back.
Yeah.
You had 1 or 2 seders. Winter's past. And winter returned. We breathed into this feeling of completion. It is as if each one of us once more has left Egypt for this year. So just continue to breathe. 36. And Edith has promised to use the tambourine today.
Very sophisticated instrument here.
And for the ones who watch us on YouTube, I'm sorry, I just realized that I was not on. Okay, now I'm on. Some of my teachers did not like this melody. One of them said it's like a caravan of camels walking through the desert. Nine, nine, nine. But I actually think for this time and for this moment of the week, maybe it's good. We're a caravan of camels walking through the desert together on our way to the promised land. Page 138. Lechadodi, walking through the desert, walking through forests, walking through snow. Lechadodi katkala bene shabane kabela lechadodi li katkala bene shabane kabela shamo bezacho yeribu echad hishmianu ela meyuchad Adonai echad ושמו אחד לשמו לארץ ונטילה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבה נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבה נקבלה לקראת שבה לכו ונלכה כי מקום
שמחה סוף מעשה במחשבתך לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שמה נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שמה נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך אורי קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. Please write. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצוהלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. I'm at the end of a bronchitis, still there. And sometimes it suddenly comes back.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת מזמור שיר מזמור שיר מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות טוב להודות טוב להודות לאדוני טוב להודות טוב להודות טוב להודות לאדוני מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך 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 ואמונה בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בחינו מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון.
145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of the withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, at each morning and night. You renew your ways, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Please rise with me, if able, page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. 146, 148. Baruch אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים אל חי הים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. 150. God's eternal love. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך
ודיברת בם, שבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר אנוכי מצווך, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. And now we rose. We breathed into the sense of completion. The same way that the Israelites breathed into a sense of completion once they were on the other side of the Red Sea. It was done. The Exodus had happened. All the miracles, the signs and the wonders, they had escaped. They sang and they clapped and they danced, and maybe some of them just nodded at each other because not everyone likes to sing and clap and dance, so they do that. But they all shared the sense of relief. And we can only imagine that moment when they looked at each other and suddenly understood that they had made it, but they actually had not arrived. They were just at the beginning of a completely new chapter. It's a song of praise, singing through the sea, singing also on the other side. Maybe not only the miracles that had just occurred, but maybe also to just affirm, no one's like you at the beginning of a very, very, very long journey. 158. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi kamocha holim Adonai, mi kamocha nedadeh, nora tehillah sefer, nora tehillah sefer. מלכותך ובניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה עליינו מעמו, זה עליינו מעמהו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. כי פדה את יעקב, גאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. 162.
Shabbat Shalom. I have my water. Thank you, Cody. I might have slightly overthought this sermon. Poor Edith, she sees my notes. There are lots of notes. So, the last two songs that we sang, Mi Chamocha and Veshamo, both praise a moment of change. Mi Chamocha is a song that was sung at this moment in our yearly cycle. We begin a new chapter after slavery into freedom. Veshamo is a very different thing. It doesn't sing about a moment of movement. It sings about the change from movement to stillness. It's a quote from the Torah that is always recited at the beginning. It doesn't say, now rise, let's go. It says, now settle down. The week is over. Keep this Shabbos and let it keep you. Between those two poles, an instrument to praise change and movement, and an instrument to praise settling down and stillness, is maybe not only the core of Judaism, the core of any religion in the world. It helps you to move, and it supports you settling down. Our Torah portion, the portion of this week that has nothing to do with Passover because the Torah has moved on quite a long time ago. Our Torah portion is called Parashat Shmini, the Parsha of Shmini, the Parsha of the 8th day. Jews are very famous for 7. 7 seems to be our numbers. 7 days of the week. The 7th is the most important one. Shabbat. 7 days of creation. 7th is the most important one. It's when the creation is completed. 7 biblical days of Passover. 7 biblical days of Sukkot. We love 7. 7 times 7 from Passover to Shavuot. We count and count and count. We don't usually speak about the 8th day. And yet the number 8 in many, many religions, and including our own, has a special meaning. It signifies eternal. It signifies not only completion. It's my turn. No one said you should give the sermon today. And if wanted to. You would first need to learn to speak. Okay.
The 8th day is the day after completion. So we can think about this very philosophically. Is the 8th day still saturated by the sense of just having completed one cycle? Or is it already a new beginning, starting from scratch but on a different layer? The 8th day that is read about in this Torah portion is the day after. It's the day after the Israelites had received the Torah. They had erected the Mishkan and the temple. They had purified and dressed the priest. It's the first day that the Israelites had entered, the Levi'im that is, had entered the Mishkan and brought the regular sacrifices. They had begun a cycle of sacrifices that they presumably would continue over the next 2,070 years. Everything was good. Everything was whole and peaceful. And then, in the middle of this sense of completion, their reality completely shattered. And that two young priests, in this complete sense of innocence and purity, entered the Mishkan and got killed. And those were Aaron's two sons. And the Torah is very strange in describing these events. It describes a Moses that just moved on with business. Move on. And it describes an Aaron who just doesn't say anything. It's just saying. And then fell silence. And then they moved on. Those two would never be mentioned again. But it's a strange thing that in that moment of complete peacefulness, those two people get killed. And then the journey continues. It's an interesting thing. The peace is broken. It's not complete. But we just walk on. I have often thought about this moment showing Aaron and Moses in a failure. Moses didn't say, oh, you just lost your sons. Let's sit down and talk about it. What does that mean to you? They didn't sit Shiva. They didn't come up with rituals. They were seemingly completely able to react. No conversations. No acknowledgments. But I think the story goes beyond human failure. It shows something more. It shows that wherever we might have had the illusion that we in this world will reach a stage where everything is perfect and everything is quiet, it's not happening. There is no perfection in this world. There is no moment where we can just say everything is good. There's always a part of our world that is broken. In our own lives and in our own relationships, with our friends, with our partners, with our family members, with employees and bosses and colleagues, even in the relationships to ourselves, we yearn for this moment where we settle down and breathe and everything is complete. Everything is done and everything is peaceful. But the reality and the reality of our story and the reality of this very Torah portion is that this ain't happening. There's always something that is disappointing. There's always something that is lacking. There's always something that disturbs, and there's always something that's distant and maybe even painful. This very month that is beginning today, or not today, but next week, is giving us an answer, a possible answer to this very, very human condition. It's Iyar. We often think about Cheshvan, the month after the high holidays, as the most boring month in the calendar. Nothing great is happening. The high holidays are over, Tishrei is over, Cheshvan is boring. In biblical times, the month of Iyar was exactly the same. It was the month after Nisan, Passover. They did not have a Yom HaShoah, and they didn't celebrate all the other Israeli celebrations. So for them, Iyar was simply the month after Passover. They had all done everything needed. They had cleaned their houses or tents, and they had enjoyed matzah baked from the grain of the last harvest. And they would slowly start harvesting, but there were no Jewish holidays, except there was one. There was one for the people who had missed their first chance to reach a sense of completion. There was a holiday for the people who had either been in touch with a corpse or who had been traveling during Passover. So the 14th of Iyar, a month where there was no Jewish festival planned, they celebrated something that was Pesach Sheni, the second Passover. It's not observed, usually. The day passes by, unless you missed your chance to grasp a sense of completion. It's a holiday of second chances. It's a holiday that acknowledges right after this very, very important and not to be missed holiday that sometimes you still miss it. Past. You didn't do it. It acknowledges that even though everybody would be on the same page, walking through the desert, on the way to redemption, or on the way to the land of Israel, on the way to completion, some of us were a little late, and they hobbled behind. The picture is not quite as perfect, as complete, as Passover would want to make us think. All of us have dreams of ourselves and the world that we live in. So we have a vision of paradise, a moment towards which we're walking. And all of us are mourning in some way, one way or the other, sometimes the loss of a dream, the shattering of a dream. And so Judaism has a story of expulsion, the loss of home, the shattering of a dream, a breach, a gap, a void. And all of us here, we live in this world, a world between, a mix of dreams yet to be fulfilled and some that are already broken. A mix of visions and of tears, a mix of movement and of resting. Is exactly the stuff that our world is made of. Everything's perfect, and yet it's broken. Once I had written the entire sermon, I suddenly remembered that 3 years ago, I had written a poem about the exact same topic. Because one thinks in circles. That's just what it is. So I brought you the poem too. There is a Jewish calendar for those who came late. Until Tuesday afternoon, one might prolong the Shabbos. For all those still in need of a second soul. On Pesach Sheni, all those can access freedom who were too preoccupied with life and therefore missed the first 10. On each Yom Kippur Katan, that's a different sermon, all those of us who didn't feel entirely innocent may commit themselves anew. And then there is Hanukkah, for all those who might have missed the initial party, who celebrate later, who are able to rejoice in joys postponed. Time seems to welcome the tired, slow, sick, and weary. A tender, darker calendar for those who stayed behind. Not as if someone smiled in the midst of darkness, a spark of light into our homes, a warm and growing glow. Shabbat Shalom. We are Hold on. We're not there. Sorry.
I'm sorry, my fault.
No, it's okay. I am missing this page. So we are rising. We are on page 164, the silent Amida. And then we sing 164, please rise. Ya da da ya da 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 ya na 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 Adonai sefatati ufi agite ilatecha Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Please on your own pace. If you have arrived either on page 180 or the sense of completion for your prayer, say Shalom.
Oh, say Shalom bimro. Oh, yeah, say Shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisroel. V'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisroel. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisroel. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisroel. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imu, amen.
Be seated for a moment. Sometimes it happens that say Mishabel for someone who's in that space. And that is very true today. Kyle, you're the first name on my list. So other than Kyle, we're thinking today of Chris Godlewski recovering from a disease, Cynthia Wexler, mother of Diane Kirsten, Lieselotte Ad, mother of Phyllis Lefan and mother-in-law of Al Lefan, Jean Lehman, mother-in-law of Jim Nalik, Laura, who is better, and Marlene texted me this week and said, we are coming at the end of June to Bozeman. I want to be very involved. summer, and Jeff is really looking forward to seeing all his Bozeman friends again. So this is very good news for the ones of you who have been following. They're doing much better, and Sid is recovering from her surgery yesterday. She's also good and her upbeat self, so it seems like everyone is moving along. Are there any other people you would like to add to the Mishebeach list? Okay, so this is our Mishebeach. Page 371, Mishebeach lecholim, the Mishebeach for those in need of healing.
Avotenu mikor habracha imotenu, may the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misherach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of the body, renewal of the spirit, and let us say Amen.
Kaddish. And I'm going to look around the room. If you have names to add, please do so. This community also remembers Craig Barber. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועל מה דברה חיותי וימליך מלכותי, בחי יכון וביום יכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתאר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לאלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Please be seated for a moment. Shalom Aleichem is a very innocent song, and I usually say a lot of pretty things about it. I do want to share the most medieval of all interpretations. It speaks about a black and a white angel. One's a good one and one's a bad one. And of course, the white one is the good one and the black one is the bad one. And they say that when you come home from the temple service, from the Kabbalat Shabbat service, and you enter your house, whatever you do then first, how you spend the first hour of that night, is going to determine the course of the following week. It's a little like the people who believe that the first of January is going to determine what the rest of the year is going to look like. So we have the same. It's the first hour that you come home. If this is a peaceful hour that will allow you to breathe, you'll have a peaceful week. If this is a chaotic hour where you just try to catch up on 1,000 different things and you fight with whomever is there, your cat or someone else, then that's what you're going to do all week. Basically, the song is asking to come home and be welcomed by the angel that brings white light, peacefulness, healing, and rest. So I'm wishing you a lot of these steps towards the light. Shalom Aleichem on page 627.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShaarei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Machem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Baruch Hu, Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Ahalahim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And if you sit next to someone with whom you're comfortable, maybe you want to grab their hand. If not, maybe you just want to exchange a smile, just a short smile. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha, Eyasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May you walk in God's light, and may this light surround you on every single step in wholeness and brokenness of your journey. And small announcements before doing the Kiddush. Tomorrow at 9:30 is Torah study. The Müller is teaching. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. is the women's group. Show up if you want to. And everybody else can also just show up as you want to. Sunday, we don't do anything. Monday, Talmud and Alexander Technique. Tuesday is Mahjong and Hebrew. Wednesday is Shalom Kids. This week is Shalom Kids again. And another Mahjong group because Mahjong is growing here.
Oh.
Yes, we have now 2 Mahjong groups. Thursday is Alexander Technique. Friday is Learner's Minion. And then next Saturday morning is Avi, he told me, it's Avi Hendley Kirchen Bar Mitzvah. Starting here at 9:30, Gabaim are Richard and Janelle. Thank you for that. Avi is very sweet, and here's a heads up. Avi is also very, very nervous. And And it's not good if Avi's nervous because he's difficulties focusing if he's not nervous. So for this service, we're going to do something very traditional, and that is that we're going to float around this reading pult, and Avi's going to lead the service with me, standing with our backs to the congregation, and that will help Avi. But it will be a little different than what we're used to, and that's going to be just fine. Just a heads up that this is what's going to happen. Also, maybe most important and most unusual this week, on Tuesday is Yom HaShoah, which is the Jewish Holocaust. What's going on? The Jewish Holocaust Remembrance Day on our calendar, right a week after Passover, when it is also observed in Israel. For that occasion, we're going to finish the art exhibition of Esther Lurie, and I invited Barbara Do Amaral, who is the head of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, to speak to us. I asked her to do that because maybe some of you know and some of you don't, that there were a lot of little anti-Semitic incidents all over Bozeman with a big focus on actual life on campus. And Barbara has in many ways been at the center point of these happenings. So she's going to give a little update, and then she's also going to share some reflections of hers on what it means to live as a Jew in that point in time and place where she is at on that very day. Because there are connections, and some of them are hard, and then there's going to be a little, like I'm going to interview her a little further, and our friends from the GVIA are joining us, and I'm hoping the last time when we did the opening day, it felt a little like there was a lot in the room that people wanted to talk about and we didn't get to it. I'm hoping that there will be a space for conversation between the people in the room. Again, that is Tuesday, 5:30 here in this place in our social hall. There won't be much food, but there will be hopefully a lot of good conversation. So, thank you. This man has been sent to us by God. Thank you, Cody, for being with us. If you have, the light one is grape juice, the dark one is wine. Please rise for Kiddush. יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי רבנן ורבותיי, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון מעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים.
That was a good year.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And sorry. Thank you.
No.
And thank you especially to Carly Ramsey for the challah, like every week. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Page 657. Please sit down one more time.
Should I do it? Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Bel hakolam. Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Bel hakolam. Salam aleinu v'yakolam, salam, salam, salam aleinu v'yakolam, salam, salam. Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Bel hakolam. Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Hodjevot shalom aleinu, Bel hakolam. Salam aleinu ve'akolam, salam, salam. Salam aleinu ve'akolam, salam, salam.
And because I'm even more all over the place than usual, please rise for the counting of the Omer, which we should have done right before Aleinu.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ad sfirat ha'omer hayom yom tishi yom שהוא שבוע אחד ושלושה ימים לעומר. Happy Omer. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom.